Now let's get into the heart of the matter, which is this December 1st speech by Obama at West Point. This is a new war, a brand new war, a much wider war. The headline for this speech is, Obama declares war on Pakistan. Yes, Obama declares war on Pakistan. Pakistan is the target. Afghanistan is simply a staging area. Afghanistan is a little bit like Kuwait, right? If you look at the role of Kuwait in the war in Iraq, Kuwait was the place where you could land your supplies and get everything together, have your air bases, and then you're going to go into Iraq and start fighting and killing. And that is the hidden meaning of all of this absurd dance, this incoherent pastiche of lies that Obama put forward in his December 1st speech at West Point. It is simply to use the situation in Afghanistan as a pretext and a springboard for unleashing a total civil war inside Pakistan and the breakup of Pakistan. We have many learned pundits telling us that there's a civil war in Afghanistan which has been going on for 30 years, and the U.S. is intervening on one side. That's much too narrow. The goal of this is to export that Afghan civil war, to continue to export it, to massively export it. Some export has already been done. But to export the Afghan civil war into Pakistan, leading towards the breakup of Pakistan. The goal ultimately has very little to do with Afghanistan. Afghanistan looks like it's also a candidate to be broken up. Why not? It has to be, given the dynamics of these ethnic groups in the region. The goal is the breakup of Pakistan into 3 or 4 petty states, micro-states or mini-states, to use Brzezinski's terminology, to prevent forever the obvious overland economic link-up. You might say it's a new version of the Silk Road, from Iran into Pakistan into China, from Iran into Pakistan into India. This would create essentially a Eurasian development block, right? Those pipelines, those railroads, that oil, that natural gas, and the commerce and the commercial relations and trade relations that would follow those pipelines would essentially put an end to the Anglo-American great game, which has been going on there for more than 150 years. The goal, therefore, is to export the Afghan civil war into Pakistan. Now, why not simply attack Pakistan directly? Why go through this absurd exercise, as many commentators have noted? Easy answer. The U.S. is too weak. Pakistan is too big, and the U.S. is too weak. The logistics are a nightmare, needless to say. And here's the heart of the matter. Pakistan is a nuclear state. Pakistan has a nuclear arsenal. All this brouhaha, this endless battage about the so-called dangers to the Pakistani nuclear forces, this has everything to do with the fact that the U.S. fears those nukes. Therefore, the U.S. has to find a way to attack Pakistan below the nuclear threshold and below the conventional threshold. And therefore, what we've got is an exercise in fourth-generation warfare, guerrilla proxy oblique warfare, with Afghanistan once again serving as the hub of this geopolitical strategy in Central Asia. Now, specifically, think about these ethnic groups in the area. Let's look at this ethnic group called the Pashtuns. Pashtuns, Pushtuns, call them what you want, 30 to 40 million of them, quite a number on the Afghani side, quite a number there on the Pakistani side. Now, this is a group that has many resentments. These Pashtuns are largely excluded from the army and the administrative apparatus of Afghanistan. The puppet government that the U.S. put into Afghanistan is the Northern Alliance. Remember them? The Northern Alliance. That was the slogan under Bush, right? That Northern Alliance heroin was better than Taliban heroin for some reason. So this Tajik-based Northern Alliance from northern Afghanistan are the officer corps. I think they have some Khazars, and you have some Tajiks. Those are the officers. The Pashtuns don't get to be officers. Now, Karzai is an exception because he is a Pashtun, but specifically the Pashtuns are alienated from the Kabul central government of Afghanistan. This is why the Taliban are so powerful in this Helmand Valley, Helmand province, and such border areas. It's another way of saying that there are Pashtuns there, and there are Pashtuns on the other side. What does it look like if you're a Pashtun in Pakistan? You're also alienated, because the Pashtun perception on the Pakistani side is that the central government in Islamabad is controlled by Punjabis. Remember the main ethnic groups of Pakistan. We have the Pashtuns. They are unhappy. We have the Baluchis. They are unhappy. We have the Sindhis. They were the basis of the Bhutto family, the Benazir Bhutto and so forth. They're now not too happy. But the Punjabis are the ones who control largely the Pakistani military. At least this is the tendency. So you have this Pashtun population on both sides of the border, and they are not happy campers. The entire essence of the U.S. policy is to goad the Pashtuns into a frenzy of discontent, resentment, and guerrilla warfare. Drive the Taliban Pashtun fighters out of Afghanistan, drive them into Pakistan so they can wage war against the central government, those Punjabis in Islamabad that are giving you a hard time over there. And at the same time, then, therefore, you're going to have the national uprising of the Pashtuns saying, we're sick of Afghanistan, we're sick of Pakistan, we want to have our own independent Pashtunistan, and that's our country. If the Pashtuns do this, you can be sure that the Baluchis, where the CIA has also got secret armies going on, they will imitate. And with this, you've got the added benefit that you're carving into Pakistan, into Afghanistan, I think to some extent, but in particular into Iran. So what you've done is started a process for the breakup of Afghanistan, the breakup of Pakistan, which is the main immediate goal, and indeed the breakup of Iran, right, with those peripheral non-Persian nationalities of Iran being subjected to this process of radicalization and civil war and chaos all around. That's the goal. Now, again, people say, well, why? What is the point of this? Once again, the Anglo-American world domination relies to a significant degree on domination of the Middle East. Certainly oil resources, the cash resources of the oil producers, right? The dollar immediately implicated with Saudi Arabia and these Emirates. You're dealing with things that are orders and orders of magnitude beyond anything the neocons ever dreamed of. This goes beyond the neocons. This is the Bernard Lewis plan as updated by Zbigniew Brzezinski and company in the Grand Chessboard. And the goal of this is the destruction of this idea of Pakistan as an energy corridor. Now, let's just look at this. The thing that the Anglo-Americans fear most is that once you've got an oil and natural gas pipeline and accompanying superhighway, railroad, communications, electricity grids, going, let us say, from Iraq maybe, but certainly from Iran into Pakistan and into China, that's the big one strategically, and indeed into India, you get that pipeline becoming a transmission belt, not just of oil towards China, but of Chinese economic influence and economic development into Iran, into Iraq, into Kuwait, into the Gulf Cooperation Council, into Saudi Arabia, and at that point, very little is left of the withered mummy of the U.S., British world empire and world domination. Now, part of the reason that this is such a sensitive issue is that the U.S., of course, over the last 30 years, has become a post-industrial junkyard, a dead economy, a corpse, a cadaver of the economic world, lots and lots of formaldehyde going around in the form of derivatives and speculation, but the real economic activity dwindling, right? The U.S., of course, is a financial player. Yeah, you want derivatives, you want some credit default swaps, that Wall Street can deliver. But real economic development, hey, the Chinese are light years ahead, and others too. Therefore, the economic degeneration of the United States has created this huge strategic vulnerability that if real economic development goes on and the U.S. can't skim it with the dollar, right? We'd have to assume that if Iran were selling oil to China, they would cut out the dollar and they would say, let's get some renminbi or let's get paid in some other form, maybe euros, but certainly not this unreliable dollar, which is being played with by this gang of fascist corporate state devotees in Washington, D.C. And at that point, the U.S. is cut out of the picture. The City of London can't skim. Wall Street can't skim. Therefore, they have to block it. From the City of London, Wall Street point of view, therefore the CIA, Pentagon point of view, this is anathema. They've